Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. This particular video is a special one. We are joined by Lorelie from Wedding Cakes for You and Mark from Epic Confections. Together we are bringing you guys some much requested questions and answers so we can answer any of your qualms, or if you'd just like to know a little bit more about us.
So Rosie, the first question I have for you, darling, is what buttercream is best for piping in summer and reasons for dry vanilla cake? So I guess that's a two-parter.
Beautiful, alrighty. So the best sort of frostings to use when you're in a really humid, hot condition is either ganache. Dark chocolate ganache I think is really great because it sets nice and firm and it's pretty resistant to heat, being dark chocolate. And the second one, which is what I use here during summer, is a vegetable-based shortening buttercream. So I usually mix a little bit of butter with the shortening just so that taste-wise it still tastes pretty alright. And it's super resistant to heat, which is really, really good. And you can still get those nice white crisp finishes. Sponge cake. Dry sponge cake. I don't really work with it too much, but it's a big thing in the Italian culture here for all my old relatives. And it's really good for if you're going to moisten it with something. So you might put like a coffee syrup or a liquor syrup. So it's very unique in its own taste, the way that you can kind of dress it up. And it will go very nicely with fresh creams. You want to use a really soft sort of filling so that the sponge can absorb the flavor and it won't be too dry when you cut into it. So that would be my advice for the vanilla sponge cakes.
Nice. Just touching on that, that is your hybrid buttercream recipe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering, maybe you can just link a little bing right up there. Yeah.
Beautiful. Like the dry sponges. Is it a bit different for you guys where you are?
I always use a sponge cake, and you're absolutely right. I think putting like a simple syrup on it. I usually don't use simple syrup in my videos, just because I build them for my videos and they unfortunately usually go in the trash after. But a simple syrup and a cream is probably best. What do you think, Lorelie?
Well, I do a butter-based vanilla cake. It's more of like a pound cake. And I started using the syrups recently because I just like that extra little thing that happens with the syrup. And I would say that over baking could be an issue with a dry cake as well. So Rosie, although fondant looks great on decorated cakes, how do you get it to taste good?
That's a great actually. Because to be honest, I cut off the fondant. Whenever I serve a cake that I've decorated with fondant, I never let them eat it. But I guess it'd be a pretty easy one to maybe just add in, so just knead through some alcohol-based flavorings, if you know what I mean. Usually it comes flavored already, like with vanilla or something, but if you really want to bring it to the next step, something colorless and flavored but alcohol-based that evaporates quickly and doesn't mess with the consistency of your fondant is what I reckon. That's a tricky one because not many people like it anyway.
Right.
So
marshmallow fondant's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's very sweet.
You guys have made it? Have you guys tried making it? I haven't personally tried.
I have made the marshmallow fondant, yeah.
I've never made homemade fondant before, but like Rosie, I usually tear mine off. It's great to work with, it's fun to work with, but I don't really enjoy the taste.
Yeah, I don't either.
Rosie, when I bake cakes, the middle sinks in and I can never get it to be flat or dome-shaped. How do I fix that? It's also really crumbly and doesn't stack.
Gotcha. So, could be a number of reasons, to be honest. Either there's like the rising agent might potentially be off, there might not be enough of it. Oven temperature is a huge predictor of whether or not you get a nice rise in your cake or a bit of a dome. The way that I bake my cakes is I cover it with aluminium foil once I put the batter in. And by doing that, it not only traps in the moisture, but it keeps a more consistent temperature within the cake tin, and it rises evenly and it doesn't overdome. It kind of remains nice and flat. That would be my advice. But to be honest, I'm more on the decorating side, a little less on the bakery. I think maybe Mark or Lorelie will have a much better answer for you.
I'm with Rosie. I'm more of a decorator than I am baker.
Okay, good.
Nope. That's all I have, Lorelie. You go for it.
I was just going to say, what I do is I bake them at a lower temperature than usually recommended. So a lot of times the cake recipe will say 350. I'll bake them at 325. And I do have a convection oven, and that also works at 325. It's not a commercial one. So that's one thing. I love the idea of wrapping the cake like Rosie does, although I don't do that. That's a great idea. Yeah, that's my advice. Bake at a lower temperature, and then the cake will rise a little more evenly.
Right.
And you bake it for a little bit longer than usual as well, or does it normally?
Yeah. A lot of times I don't time my cakes. I just kind of keep an eye on them. So it is hard to tell people exactly how long.
Do the old toothpick in the center trick,
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question from Lena Ray. How can you know when your cakes are good enough looking and tasting to sell? I'm not as concerned with taste. I have awesome recipes, but I don't want to be overconfident in my abilities. It can make you feel pretty small when you see what others put out there on Instagram and Facebook.
So I think you're kind of measuring yourself with someone else's ruler. At the end of the day, you will build up that skill, and I think it's a really bad kind of habit that all of us have, is comparing our cakes to everybody else's. Everyone started somewhere, you know what I mean? It's not like your cakes are crap, because they're definitely not. They're going to be beautiful to somebody, and as you keep practicing, they're going to be more and more beautiful to you as well. You just gotta don't lose confidence. Just keep going through that practice, and you'll find that they're worth it.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful.
Perfect. So this question is for Rosie. It's kind of a two-part question. What is your most favorite cake that you've decorated on your channel? And what's your favorite YouTube channel? It doesn't have to be cake related.
Right now, my spirit animal is Pick Up Limes. Sadia Ma. She's amazing. She's like a vegan. Pick Up Limes. Very, very good.
Okay. All right.
Recipes. My favorite cake that I've done on my channel, I think, would have to be it was a 3-tier cake. It was gold, white, and marble kind of gray. It had hexagons, like a whole gold tier. It was like a wedding cake, and it took me ages to make it. Like, I think that was the longest cake I'd ever spent making. I was really surprised how it turned out, and it did really well with the audience too, so that was a bonus. It's always nice when what you want to create, the people love as well. So. Yeah. And that's a wrap. Thank you everybody for leaving all of your amazing questions for us. We've got Lorelie from Wedding Cakes For You. Her channels will be linked in the description box below, along with Mark from Epic Confections, channels linked below too. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you guys learned something new today. And that's it. We'll catch you again in the next video.